Okay, students, this is the second video on our academic vocabulary video set for La Relación by Alvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca. In this video, I'm going to introduce the standards and objectives for the text. There are 4. Before we begin, I want to let you know that I expect you to take notes on these standards and objectives. I don't expect word-for-word note-taking. I just expect some note-taking that shows that you understand what these objectives mean. Also, I want you to take note of the acronym SWBA that precedes all the objectives here. You probably already know what they are, what this acronym stands for. But basically what it means is students will be able, okay? And with that, I'm going to go ahead and begin reading them. Students will be able to read a nonfiction report. The second objective is students will be able to learn and understand the following terms and conceptual terminology: assumption, audience, audience-centered text organization, bias, diction determined by audience, subjective, objective, and text organizer. And the next objective is students will be able to examine how audience influences the author of a text. And then the last objective, students will be able to use text organizers. So quickly, in the first objective, this objective deals with the genre, understanding the genre of La Relación, which is a report, nonfiction report. So it's not like in our last text that we read. This is actually a piece of nonfiction. In the second bullet, the second objective, this one looks familiar to you because in the previous video you had to write down these terms and their definitions. But what I want to draw your attention here is I want you to understand that these are not just words that you're going to be writing on a test. These are terms I should say, because not all of them are, some of them are phrases. But I want you to understand them at a deeper level, at a conceptual level, because these terms here are actually, some of them are skills or things related to understanding to effectively comprehend and read nonfiction texts. They're not just words like the vocabulary that we study in class, literature-based vocab. That's my point. And the next objective, to examine how audience influences the author of a text. Basically what this bullet or this objective is purpose, or what it wants to make sure that you learn, is that the audience, an author's audience will influence how he or she communicates their message. And how authors write for specific audience. They don't write for themselves, they write for others. Whenever you write an essay, you don't write it for yourself, you write it for somebody else, probably your teacher or your peers. So we're going to be learning about that. In the last objective here, to use text organizers. Basically, this is another bullet related to, another objective related to reading skill. Basically, it's the use of I guess, aids. They call them aids that help authors communicate, again, make their writing comprehensible to their readers, specifically related to the type that they use. For instance, color type, font size, headings and subheadings. Anything that basically helps the reader understand what the author is trying to communicate. So, but before I begin really getting into deep lecture about these terms and about La Relación, I want to explain the purpose of studying La Relación and how it relates to what we studied previously. In the last unit, Unit 1, Part 1, we studied what an example of the first American literature, which is Native American literature, and we read The World on the Turtle's Back by the Iroquois, which is a creation myth. And we studied the features of that creation myth. But here, it's a little different here, because what we're actually moving toward now is seeing how the first Europeans, the first people to colonize this country, their experience and their encounters with the first Americans, which are natives. And probably Alvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca is probably one of the first Europeans to really do a deep exploration of North America. And what is now the United States. So of course his experience is related to that clash of cultures with the natives of this country. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video because I only have 5 minutes and this video is about to finish. Go ahead and take notes and I'll continue another video.